morning, traders. I am Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Tuesday, April 15th. We are coming off a second session in the green for stocks this morning as investors continue to monitor the president's tariff actions. During regular trading yesterday, the Dow gained 312 points, or just more than 0.75%. The S&P 500 added 42 points, or just more than 0.75%. The Nasdaq picked up 107 points, or 0.64%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. They just started turning lower. We're down 0.22%, a little over 0.2%. We were higher all morning. So, this downtick in the S&Ps, it's kind of what it was expecting. But, it's mainly due to, the tariff news. It's, continues to weigh on the markets. I mean, the Trump tariff narrative, has been the key focus for the last few weeks, and the White House says that it's looking to help the auto sector. They mentioned that yesterday, that they created a little lift for the auto stocks yesterday. But at the same time, the pharma and semiconductor stocks are on watch because they're under review by the Trump tariff team. And then this morning, it was announced that China suspended jet deliveries from Boeing in a retaliatory move. This is more political than anything else. I mean, Boeing's so far behind in their production that they weren't going to be delivering them anyways. So I wouldn't really read more into this other than it's just a news from the government. Trade officials, U.S. trade officials, they met with the EU trade official yesterday. Now, the Trump demands are going to be really, really difficult for the Eurozone negotiator to agree to. It's very difficult when you're asking for them to buy energy, and you're asking them to buy more energy than what they bought the last 2 years combined. I mean, that's kind of a hard take. Mining stocks are rallying this morning. There's reports out there that President Trump has plans to stockpile critical materials due to in an effort to counter China. On the economic calendar, we got import-export prices. We got the Empire State Manufacturing Index. This morning, we had some earnings announcements from Johnson & Johnson, Bank of America, Citigroup, PNC Bank, and Ericsson. They all came out, and there's some news out on Caterpillar and their CEO. Taking a look over at Europe, hey, we're showing the DAX. The DAX is showing a nice gain, up 155 points. It was up over 300 points earlier this morning, but so right now it's up 0.74%, with auto stocks really leading the move higher. Hey, the Eurozone, the data on industrial production came in at plus 1.1%, which beat the expectations of plus 0.3%. That's really not too surprising. It's going to be the May and June data that I'm really concerned with. But, there's a lot of stockpiling going on heading into the tariff announcement. London, the FTSE is up 56 points, or 0.7%. Retail stocks are pushing higher. France is flat to lower. There's weakness in the luxury sector. LVMH came out with disappointing earnings, and that's really weighing on the luxury sector, and the luxury sector really drives that index. You're looking at the CAC, it's it's flat to lower. It's flat to higher now, up 0.01%. And then we're turning our attention over to Asia to see what happened in Asia. Last night we were looking at the Nikkei, which jumped 285 points, or 0.84%. Auto stocks, financial stocks rose, basically because the U.S. tariff fears eased. Hong Kong closed higher by 0.23%. That's the sixth straight session of gains for Hong Kong. And Shanghai, it did manage to eke out a gain of 0.15%. But tomorrow there's a host of key economic readings due out, including first quarter GDP, industrial production, retail sales, and jobless claims. They're all coming out for China tomorrow, so that's something to keep an eye on. Now turning our attention over to oil, and oil is weakening this morning, down, about 0.75%. You got WTI at $61.02 a barrel. You got Brent at $64.40 a barrel. The key event this morning was the International Energy Association, the IEA. They forecasted weaker demand going forward due to global global trade tensions. They're now forecasting demand growth of 726,000 barrels per day, which is down from 1.03 million barrels per day. So that's causing oil to slip again to this morning. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update report, Emily.
Bill, sifting through what you said there, our main headlines really remain tariff action and what is going on that front. And earnings action is really starting to pick up. You did list a number of companies who released earnings today, some big companies. So they'll be important to keep watching. So let's start there. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
Talking Citigroup, we're talking ticker C. They beat by 11 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. That stock's up 0.9%. We're talking Bank of America, ticker BAC, Boy Apple Charlie. They beat by 8 cents, and they did that on higher revenue. That stock's up 1.77%. And Johnson & Johnson, they beat by 19 cents, and they did it on higher revenue, but stocks trading lower by 2.36%. Remember, there's concern in the sector, pharmaceutical sector right now, so there's a little caution there. Upcoming this afternoon, after the bell, we got JB Hunt, ticker JBHT. Their EPS is $1.16. The expected move is 6.37%. We also have United Airlines releasing ticker UAL, Uncle Apple Larry. Their EPS is 80 cents. Expected move is 9.26%. Put call ratio was 1.01% on United Airlines yesterday. And then we have Interactive Brokers, ticker IBKR, India Boy, Kilo Richard. Their EPS is $1.91 with the expected move of 7.31% when they release after the bell today, Emily.
Keeping track of all of that earnings action using your NewsWare and your earnings alert. You also have an alert for economic events, and keeping track of these reports. And Fed Speak day in and day out helps us put the pieces of the puzzle together to see the direction of the economy and the market's reaction. So, Bill, what is going on in terms of economic events?
Okay, at 8:30 a.m. we get the Empire State Manufacturing Index. Also at 8:30 we get import-export prices. At 11:35 a.m. we're going to be hearing from Richmond Fed Bank President Thomas Barkin, and at 7:10 p.m. this evening we're going to hear from Fed Governor Lisa Cook. Yesterday we did hear from Fed Governor Christopher Waller, who spoke at an event. The market took it positively because he kind of expressed two different inflation scenarios. Both would result in cuts in interest rates. But he only offered two scenarios, and he didn't offer a really dire scenario or a really upbeat scenario. So I think that his comments were more political because he is kind of angling for the top job when Trump replaces Jerome Powell next year when he announces a new Fed chief. So but I do keep an eye on what he says because it is valuable. But that's what I have for you in terms of an economic update, Emily.
And as you pointed out, these comments and reports don't really happen in a vacuum. It's really important to kind of keep track of every single piece to get a real good feel on the direction of the markets, the economy, and future rate hikes. Increasingly important as we're navigating really unpredictable waters. One thing I can predict, though, is that you're following not just earnings action and economic events, but you're also following lots of other types of data, information, news headlines, things like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, other catalyst calls. You group your stocks together with your NewsWare using an alert for your FANG stocks and one for your Dow 30 stocks, really gathering a lot of information ahead of the trading day and able to keep track of it throughout the trading day. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I got 19 lower. I got 10 higher and 1 unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. I'm seeing some positive action in Netflix. I mean, there's, that's nice to see. And, Google is fractionally higher, but everything else is trading lower. You look at Google, there is a Japanese regulator that's ordering Google to stop anti-competitive practices, specifically with their smartphones. Meta, the FTC trial started yesterday. I mean, the FTC is seeking to compel the company to undo its acquisitions of Instagram and WhatsApp. They're in the social media space. They're not the biggest firm in the social media space. Facebook only wishes that they could generate the traction that TikTok does. But, the FTC has to go after somebody, and Meta is a big name, so that's why they're doing it. Tesla, hey, listen, Tesla stock is wobbling yesterday despite some hopes on tariff reprieves. We'll keep an eye on it. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, we're talking NVIDIA, ticker NVDA. They announced that they would start producing AI supercomputers here in the U.S. Caterpillar, ticker CAT, Charlie Apple Tom. They named a new CEO this morning. Now, the current CEO is going to remain with the board. He's going to remain with the company. That's what, but the stock is trading a little lower this morning. But I don't think it's really going to affect the stock price that much. Boeing, China orders airlines to halt further deliveries of Boeing jets and Boeing, products. You need Boeing products. You can't buy a fuselage that was made for a Boeing. You can't, put a fuselage from another company, another, manufacturer into a Boeing aircraft. You just can't do it. Air safety issues. That's why I see this as more of a political move. They have no intention really of sticking to this. This is one of the things that they're going to give on very quickly because they can't mess with the air service, air safety of airlines. And let's face it, Boeing's productions are delayed anyway, so it's really not a difficult thing for China to do. It's not going to hurt them any. They're still waiting on the deliveries, so they halted them for the time being. Not too worried. I think it's just a political saber rattling. In terms of merger news on semiconductor, ticker ON, they withdrew their proposal to acquire Allegro Microsystems, ticker ALGM, Apple, Larry, Grace, Michael. In terms of guidance news, Skillsoft, they see full year 2026 revenue coming in 530 to 545 million. Street estimate has it at 539.99 million. Okay, in the middle. Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J, they raised their full year 2025 operation sales view to 91.6 to 92.4. Street estimate added at 90.29. That's an uptick. But Johnson & Johnson is trading lower by 1%. I don't think it'll hold. I think it'll move back higher. We'll have to keep wait and see. In terms of shareholders meetings today, Owens Corning, ticker OC, Oscar Charlie, Bank of New York, ticker BK, and Moody's, ticker MCO. They're all having shareholders meetings today. Owens Corning's at 9 a.m., Bank of New York's at 9 a.m., Moody's is at 9:30 a.m. So those are three stocks to keep an eye on today. That's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what do you have for us today?
Going to go with Interactive Brokers, ticker IBKR. Earnings are right after the bell. EPS $1.91. Expected move 7.31%. Yesterday's call volume 3,263 calls versus 2,443 puts. Open interest 40,188 to 26,178. Listen, yesterday's call put volume, had a put call ratio of 0.75. That's not really ultra bullish, but it is not bearish, that's for sure. Major brokers have been pulling down their price targets on it, but they still have accumulated buy and overweight ratings on the stock. And this one, I got to get in 172.70 to 173.10, somewhere in that area. If I can do that, I should be able to pull out a gain today. But that's my pick of the day. Interactive Brokers, ticker IBKR, India Boy, Kilo, Richard, Emily.
An earnings play today, adding all of that data in to make that pick and that entry point. We will follow that one along with you today. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day. So stick with us. But ahead of that, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our hot off the press segment. Bill, take it away.
AMD to make chips at the U.S. site with TSMC. Interesting. Oracle announced firm fixed price tasks orders through the Department of Defense. Trump's out there on Truth Social talking about how he's going to, expedite all permits quickly for NVIDIA to start making chips here in the U.S. for their their AI supercomputer here in the U.S. Honda weighs increases in U.S. production. Bausch and Lomb, ticker BHC, they announced an adoption of a shareholder rights plan. BMY getting hit. They had a heart drug, a phase 3 trial that did not meet its endpoints, causing the weakness this morning. American Airlines said it will provide free, high-speed in-flight internet services beginning January 2026 in a partnership with AT&T. ADM, Archer Daniels Midland, the global grain merchant, has begun shutting down domestic trading operations in China. That's all I'm seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we sign off and dive into trading on this Tuesday, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Intel. I did grab a story this morning that JP Morgan says the Intel stake, selling that stake of their group Altera, was a step in the right direction. The transition did mark the first major strategic move under Intel's new CEO. And JP Morgan points to the fact that it really underpins the company's broader turnaround strategy and refocus on its core business. So felt like it was positive news on that front. You did make this pick following that news yesterday, hoping to catch some momentum there. Bill, how did your call work out?
Well, I made the pick when the story was just a rumor. Listen, it worked out well. I mean, the stock opened up at $20.59, and then it fell to $20.12. Now, if you remember, I said, I'm looking for an entry price between $20 and $20.15. Hey, it fell to $20.12, and then it rallied. It hit at $20.70, which beat the 1% goal, and later it hit a high of $21.05. So, yeah, it was a nice win, and it did close at $20.59, but which is at the opening price. But it was a win, and no matter how you look at it, whether you got it at the opening price or my entry price, Intel INTC was a winner yesterday, Emily.
A winner indeed there, Bill, and we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Interactive Brokers pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.